Hello everyone and welcome back to Formula 2. Round 10 of the championship will reach the 2/3 mark of the season at some point throughout this round. So yeah, we're reaching crunch time, and Hungaroring Budapest in Hungary, and we'll see how things go. We generally tend to struggle at this circuit. It's never been a great one for me, I feel like, at least driving wise, but in recent times I have come to like it a little bit more, but especially in the early days I always remember struggling here, especially with tire temperatures and things like that, but that doesn't seem to be as much of an issue in the more recent games. But anyway, we work our way through qualifying, and we're currently not going too well, unfortunately, and as we complete our second consecutive flying lap, we are well down the order once everyone sets their times. We're in P19, so yeah, we're struggling. Jane Deruvala is down in P21, so one of our big championship rivals is also having a struggle, and as we come around to complete another flying lap, we are still P nowhere in 19th position, so yeah, we've got work to do.
With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the feature race tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
But it's Jack Doohan who takes pole position ahead of Clement Novalak, so they are resuming their battle from Silverstone, where we shove Jack Doohan to victory in the final few corners. But yeah, we will have to see how things go here. Of course, the sprint race coming up first before any of that action. And for the sprint race, it will be Théo Pourchaire and Roman Stanek on the front row. Great qualifying by the Czech driver to get into the top 10. And he'll be on for a good round, hopefully, for his sake. But yeah, like I said, we are well down the order. Kushmaini might have a good chance, though, at some points this weekend. He's up in the top 10. Let's get into the race.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint race then. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? "14 corners here at the Hungaroring, 6 lefts and 8 rights. And in these conditions, there are a few places where it's going to be very easy for the drivers to run wide. Accidents are not uncommon here, so keep an eye out for the safety car at some point during the race. And we welcome you to the Formula 2 commentary box. I'm Alex Jakes. Alongside me for this one, Alex Brundle. It is a sprint race. It is race day. How much can you take from that one-lap pace into our multi-lap contest today?
Try to leave reverse in the pit lane if you possibly can. You do not want to be going backwards from the front row of the grid. This is the moment where some drivers are able to snatch points they won't be able to later on.
We're going to struggle for a good position in this race unless we can gain some early positions. See what you can do.
Well, we have a soggy sprint race lined up here in Budapest. No pit stop will be the strategy. Rain all the way through. It might lighten up later on, but yeah, we will just have to drive it to the conditions throughout this one. With all four of the top teams in the team's championship having one car outside the top 10, it'll be limited points for all of us throughout this round, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But there's a lot of us, Deruvala, myself, Ollie Behrman and Victor Martins, all with work to do. Roy Nassani also had a very good qualifying up in, I think, P12. And our pace in qualifying...
Launch map is good, but we need to learn the gears. So go into each one when you can. We're going to need some work on the brakes, so put some energy into them and warm the tyres as well, please.
Our pace in qualifying wasn't as bad as it looked. We actually set our 3 best sectors on 3 different laps after further review. So if we put all our best sectors together, we would have been around P13 or so. But we go to the 5 red lights, and we are underway for the sprint race in Hungary. And it's a pretty steady launch off the line for us as we crawl our way towards turn 1. And we enter the wall of spray in the wet conditions, the full heavy wet conditions. We have to take some evasive action as we were on the brakes too late there. and that's going to send us tumbling down to the back of the field. We're able to avoid contact. We got pretty close with, I think it might have been Zane Maloney, but we got away with it. But we've tumbled down to last position, but that's not the end of the world. We'll just do what we did in the wet race in Monaco, where we just stayed put at the back until the field settled down, and we'll get into the action once we have some easier opportunities with a bit lower risk later on in the race, once everyone spreads out a little bit and the spray isn't quite as bad, and the dry line starts forming, or the dry line, the tram tracks, whatever you wish to call them. But yeah, we'll see as we just steadily navigate the first lap. It's also about just getting into a rhythm as well, and just feeling what the conditions are like. It was wet in practice, so we did get a few laps there to see what this track was like, and it is pretty treacherous in a few spots. So we're just going to take it easy, get up to speed, and once we're feeling a bit more confident, we'll start trying to forge our way through the field. It's a long race. Despite being a sprint race, there's still plenty of time to make our way up through the order if we have the pace. But a replay of the start then to see how things played out from the front row. It was Teo Porcher ahead of Roman Stanek 1 and 2, and it looks like Porcher has managed to make good off the start, and Dennis Hauger's up into P2, so Stanek has lost out already, unfortunately, for the Czech driver, but holds on to P3, and is still a good chance for a podium in this race. It's going to be very difficult to overtake, so this fight for the lead has just resolved in favour of Teo Porcher, but Dennis Hauger right tucked in behind, and he won't want to let Teo Porcher get too far up the road. But the Frenchman has done the job so far, as we now take a look at the start on board with Roman Stanek to see where things went wrong. The start wasn't too bad compared to Teo Porcher, but the Frenchman comes across towards turn 1 to cover the line. Dennis Hauger way out on the racing line is able to just carry the speed in, and yeah, that's all the invitation Dennis Hauger needed, just to stay on that big open outside line. Here's the on board with our teammate Kushmani, who started out a P4. Great start versus pretty much all of the top 3, but had nowhere to go, so a shame for Kushmani. And yeah, just had to stay tucked in behind Roman Stanek there. And is there going to be more to the story as we head up towards turn 2? Kushmani maintaining position for the time being. Meanwhile, on board with Frederick Vesti is how it started for the Prema driver that did manage to get into the top 10. And Vesti moves to the outside and makes the move around the outside of Kushmani, but Miney covers that one off. Vesti trying to get a bit of a switchback going there, but no traction on the exit. On board with Amari Cordial, the Belgian driver, starting out of P13. Roy Nassani just in front, and Cordial and Nassani switch sides towards turn 1. Cordial down the inside, aggressive fighting in the mid-pack as they all bunch up, and that's Jack Doohan on the inside of Cordial, so he's had a poor getaway, but Doohan holds them off, and well, not quite, that's Nassani. Great traction on the exit, and launches out of turn 1 with a lot of speed there, and yeah, Doohan left to fend off Cordial, who's now under pressure because that's Brad Benavides in the other PHM car going around the outside of turn 3 now, but not able to make that move. So Benavides slots in behind, but the PHMs and Invicta cars are having a good little battle there. That was exactly how close we got to the boy from Barbados, Zane Maloney, as we had to take evasive action towards turn 1. As we continue on though,
Tyre condition still looking good.
we do begin to get a rhythm in this race, and we catch up to Jack Crawford, who tails the pack in front of us. So we'll see if we can do anything about the American driver, and hopefully we can start moving forwards in this race. we're going to go for the move around the outside of turn 2, and we're able to carry pretty decent speed, and we've got the overlap around the outside. Bit of contact as we got a bit of a swapper on, but we do get the move done on Crawford.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
No damage from that contact, so that worked out to be a fairly decent move around the outside. We're able to just carry the speed off the racing line. Plenty of grip out there to do so, and yeah, aside from that little moment on the exit that made things a bit awkward, that was a good move, and hopefully one we might be able to replicate through the field, but we'll see if that was a once-off. But we're going to send it around the outside of Jane Deruvalo. He's going to make us work for it a little bit more, but we've still got the overlap on the inside for turn 3, and we still are able to muscle our way through on the Indian.
Move. Good job.
So yeah, we've found a spot there where we can make an overtake in a rather unconventional fashion, but you know, whatever works. And next up is Juan Manuel Correa. We make the move around the outside and move ourselves up yet again into now P19, where we started. So you know, we've recovered the loss from the first lap, and now we can try to actually make some gains through the field. But anyway, as we look further up the order, Roy Nassani is struggling for pace a little bit, and is under pressure from Jack Doohan behind, but no way through yet for Jack. We go back on board with myself then as we head down towards turn 1 yet again. Lap number 7 of the race now. So we're ticking off the lap steadily, and there's a yellow flag out. Everyone's bunching up, and oh my goodness, that was incredibly tight. We just managed to squeeze through as there was a car facing backwards. Red flag is out. What was going on there? We'll take a look at a replay and see exactly what happened. Arthur Leclerc spun around, and yeah, everyone started stacking up. There's everyone, you know, avoiding action, and we just barely squeezed between Richard Ashaw and Arthur Leclerc. There was about a millimetre less than a car width there, and we I think made just the absolute slightest of contact with both, but no damage from that. We're able to get through, but far out, that was an incredibly tight gap to squeeze through. Goodness me. We get away with it though.
Okay, so far, but this is a chance to take a breath. We've got another half of this race to go, and there's still a big opportunity there.
So we reset and go again. Nothing changes weather-wise, of course. Still rain forecast throughout the entirety of the race, although that light rain is a little bit closer. But other than that, nothing changes.
Wait in just a moment. Stand by.
We get ready to go once more to the 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Sugi Sprint in Budapest, Part 2. And once again, it's a pretty slow launch off the line for us, but we should be able to hold our own towards turn 1. And yeah, looks like we're going to be okay. Big dive around the outside, and again we have to take a little bit of avoiding action, but certainly not as much that time, and we're able to keep it mostly on circuit through turn 1. But yeah, we're in P17 now, so yeah, we're still in a fairly average track position in this race. Let's see how things go for those towards the front of the field, and it looks like Teo Porcher was able to hold on once more from Dennis Hauger. And oh, very deep moment there for Porcher, and it looks like Frederick Vesti's up into 3rd position. So unfortunately for Roman Stanek, he's lost the opportunity for a podium, as Vesti might be about to steal P2 here, but Dennis Hauger holds on from the Dane. So Teo Porcher leads Hauger and Vesti, the top 3. Here's the onboard with Dennis Hauger to see exactly what it looked like from on board with the Norwegian driver towards turn 1. The big block from Teo Porcher, but on the wet side of the road was unable to stop, locked up. Dennis Hauger had it nicely stopped on the apex, but just didn't quite have enough grip to get the move done. On board then with Roman Stanek, who restarted in 3rd position. It was an okay start, went to the inside, so there was Nothing at this point, but aggressive look to the inside as Teo Bochea was locking up ahead, and yeah, that little sideways dive there, I think, just easily allowed the Prema car around the outside, though I think it was already there at that point. Kushmaini, let's see how things went for our teammate, and well, of course, if Kushmaini is behind Stanek here, Maini must have also lost out to Vesti, so they were going 3 wide into turn 1, and yeah, looks like Stanek was able to hold off our teammate, but not the Prema driver, so both Stanek and Maini dropping 1, and Vesti up 2 on the restart, so very good restart from Frederick Vesti, as Kushmaini is under pressure again, and that's one of the Red Bull liveried cars that I think is Isaac Hadjar managing to get through there. So yeah, there was a lot of positional changes. Kushmaini losing 2 places. Here's the onboard with Frederick Vesti. It was an awesome launch for the Dane, and that's what set up the run towards turn 1. Actually, we got a little bit awkward getting too close behind Stanek there. Poor Chair going deep probably put him off a little bit as well. So it was a pretty chaotic restart for Frederick Vesti, but he was able to find 2 places and could have almost been 3, I think, if not for Porcher's lockup. Might have helped Dennis Hauger keep that position. On board then with Isaac Hadjar to see how things played out from this perspective. You can see Kushmaini there on the right hand side, Isaac Hadjar rather, going around the outside, and let's see how this one plays out as they continue to duke it out, and he's just got that presence, just got that overlap on the inside line into turn 2, and that translates into the positional gain on the exit. So nice work by Isaac Hadjar, and he's gained a place there. But as we go back on board with myself, we've almost slammed into the back of Arthur Leclerc there as we're trying to find our way through the field. No way around the outside of that particular right-hander though, and we'll stay behind for the time being, or will we? Sending it down the inside into the chicane we go, and we'll get the move done on Arthur Leclerc, who brought out that red flag earlier on. So it's the second spin in recent races for Arthur Leclerc, having that spin at Silverstone as well. So the Monegasque driver struggling a little bit with the handling of these cars, it seems. But as we continue to push on, the next car up the road is in the hands of Victor Martins, and yeah, we'll see if we can pass the Frenchman, who's still yet to make too much progress in this race. Of course, as I said, he started well down the order, but we are putting the pressure on, trying to find a way through, but nothing doing into the chicane, and we remain behind the Frenchman for a little bit longer. But we've definitely got some pace going at this stage of the race, and we are able to fight through the field, which is very good signs. So we'll continue to push on, and we should be able to get past Victor Martins at some point in the near future. This next right-hander can be a good overtaking opportunity. We are a little bit far back though, so as we continue to push on, we might be looking for turn 2 to be our opportunity once again. So let's see, we're reasonably close. We struggle a lot for traction. That's where I lose a lot of time, and then I can gain a lot on entry and mid-corner. So we send it around the outside of Victor Martins then,
condition still looking good,
and we get the move done through turn 2. So that still appears to be our best bet for overtakes at this stage of the race. So yeah, as we continue to push on, our next target is another one of our...
And you've got P15, P15. Okay, that's Bearman ahead. They're on a fresh set of wets. Martin's behind. Less than a second separates you. They're on a fresh set of wets. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Okay, 17 laps to go now.
Another one of our championship rivals, and that's another spinner.
Okay, red flag, mate. Red flag.
Red flag is out once
please.
more.
We'll see you in the pit lane.
And wow, this has been a tough race for some of these drivers. Oh my goodness. Who was it this time? It was Ayumu Iwasa who spun, and yeah, we'll see exactly how it happened. Heading into the chicane now. Is it going to be just a matter of getting it wrong here It appears to be the case. Iwasa just losing traction on the exit and finds himself pointing towards the traffic. Never a good place to be for Ayumu Iwasa. Unfortunate for the Japanese driver, tumbles down the order. He's had a tough season, had plenty of pace, but a lot of things have gone wrong. And oh wow, it was actually in the first half of the chicane where it started drifting out to the left, and then overcorrection caused the car to keep spinning to the right through the next part of the chicane.
Right, wants to change our strategy for the rest of the Grand Prix if we want to.
And that stint was even shorter than the first. We're going to start running out of wet tyres at this rate, but anyway, we go again then. We are into the light rain just about, so yeah, it'll be light rain very shortly in this race. Not that it's going to make a huge difference.
Again.
And yeah, we go again for the Hungary Sprint Part 3. Lights are out and we're underway, and we are terribly slow off the line this time, and immediately dump that place to Victor Martins. And as we head towards turn 1, we've been tipped into the wall, and we've made contact with the car behind as we tried to move to the outside line, and somehow we don't have front wing damage. How have we escaped that? My goodness. We nosed the car straight into the barriers towards turn 1, and we've got no damage. That is a miracle. I'm not going to question that, but we are incredibly lucky to get away with that. Goodness me. Well, we push on then, and we'll see what we can do throughout the rest of the race, but that has sent us tumbling down the order. Before we look at that though, we'll review in sequence what happened throughout the field, and we'll start of course with the front as towards turn 1 go Teo Porcher and Dennis Hauger once more. Porcher holding the outside line this time, but Dennis Hauger not able to get up the inside, and the top 3 remain as they were. Here's the onboard with Roman Stanek, who will be desperate to try and get back onto the podium, and it was a pretty decent launch off the line for Roman Stanek, but Frederick Vesti able to move across and cover, and the car on the outside there might just be able to get through here. Roman Stanek fights off that threat from the inside line, so Stanek maintains P4, but aggressively trying to hold on to that position. Here's the onboard with Kush Miney, who needs a bit of redemption after the previous start, but had nowhere to go but to be forced to that inside line, which I mean, Roman Stanek just made it work there as he was on the inside of a 3-wide battle, and you can see he fiercely cut that off the moment he was ahead. So good driving there by Stanek, and Miney was able to I think gain there as well, and move back ahead of Fittipaldi as they still run side by side, Miney and Fittipaldi gets back through. So yeah, Miney continues to struggle, unfortunately. We go on board then with myself on this restart, looking rearward to see this from a better angle. It was Ayumu Iwasa, and the day goes from bad to worse. He was there on the outside, and we gave him a squeeze off circuit, and that tipped us into the wall as well. I think some carbon fibre went flying there too, but I must have been from Iwasa's car. Here's the onboard with the Japanese driver, and at the moment I looked back to see, where the cars behind were, he was heading to the right, so, I kind of just assumed I was clear to move all the way across to the left, and then, obviously by the time I got there, Iwasa had the nose in on the left-hand side, so, yeah, I mean, it was my fault, but, there was, at the time, I had no reason to believe that there would be a car there, but, anyway, that's how it goes. I mean, look at the way we hit the wall there. How did we not damage the car? Goodness me. Here's the onboard with Zane Maloney, and he was directly behind Ayumu Iwasa, and he's well aware of our infamous runs towards turn 1 at this point, and he has a perfect view of that one. We've touched grass on the way to turn 1 every every time we've had to restart this race in different ways. But anyway, we're trying our best. But yeah, that was just a clumsy incident, unfortunately. We continue on then, as we trying to generate a bit of tyre heat at the moment, and yeah, we'll see what we can do. But we've essentially just reset all the progress we've made back into last position.
Alright, we're last of the running cars right now. Iwasa ahead.
But yeah, we'll see what we can do. Down the inside of a Iwasa into the chicane, and Iwasa not going to give this one up. He's getting feisty through the chicane and holds off us as we are not able to get through there. But maybe a little tap of the rear end of Iwasa's car through the right-hander there, as we still continue to put the pressure on. So as we try and get a nice run through here, the right-hander onto what can vaguely be described as a back straight. It is a very short one at that, but we get down the inside of a Iwasa, and that should see us through into P21. Radio, next up the road is Jack Crawford, who we've already overtaken once in this race. We'll have to do it again though, as we maybe look to the outside in the grass there. That's not going to work out for us, and we slot back in behind Jack Crawford for the time being. So yeah, we go aboard with Amari Cordial, who's having an engine issue there, smoke pouring out the back of the Belgian driver's car. He blocks off the traffic there for a moment, but Cordial pulls off the road, finds a little exit in the fence there, and parks it up. So Cordial out of the race. It's a shame actually, he was doing pretty well position-wise. He wasn't too far away from the points. But anyway, back on board with myself, as we are right in behind Jack Crawford once more, and we're going to make the move down the inside into the chicane. He squeezes us almost onto the grass, and we're going to continue to run side by side, hopping over the chicanes as we go. And around the outside, we're going to have to go through the left-hander. Crawford's still there, but we should get the move done here to the inside of the right-hander, and we're through on Jack Crawford. But a great side-by-side battle with the American driver there. Here it is from on board rearward from Jack Crawford, and he tried to shut the door, but we were gonna stick the nose in there regardless. And then yeah, we both had to go hopping over the chicanes to be able to get this to get through there side by side. And then yeah, we just were able to carry the speed around the outside and keep the car there. Crawford had no choice but to give up the position as we swing through into P20, or P19 rather, with Amari Cordial out of the race. So all of that, and we are 9 positions away from the points still. Next up though, we have Juan Manuel Correa once more, another one of the American drivers. We're going to make the move down the inside of JMC, and that'll get us through.
Nice work, mate. That brings you up a place.
With the purple first sector, so that shows how much more pace we have compared to our current track position. But we're getting there. We're into the light rain conditions now.
That was the fastest lap of the race so far.
As we set the fastest lap of the race, Arthur Leclerc is the next driver up the road, another one of the spinners. It's actually both Dams drivers who spun in this race so far, so could be a setup issue with their cars in particular, making it quite difficult for them to drive in these conditions. Next up though is Richard Verschoor. This is as far as we got before Leclerc's spin earlier on. We'll make the move around the outside into turn 5. We should be able to get this one done. And yeah, Verschoor still there on the inside, so we're going to have to keep fighting for this one. Contact! And that sends us off into the runoff there. We're going to give this one up and give Verschoor that place back. So we'll have to fight for this one another day as we go on board to see that from Verschoor's perspective. We pinched him quite aggressively to the inside. He cut the first part of the chicane, trying to avoid contact, but yeah, unfortunately we came together there. But we go for the move down the inside into the right-hander in the final sector, and yeah, we were able to get the move done there. Next up is Jane Deruvala, who's moved forwards in this race a little bit. We'll make the move on the Indian driver into turn 4. That's an unusual one, but we're able to make passes pretty much any way we want at this point. Our pace seems to be getting better and better as the race goes on, as that's a big squeeze there, and we're not going to try and send it up the inside this time on Zane Maloney, who is ready to defend into the chicane. But now towards the final sector, we should be able to make the move, and yeah, we will on Zane Maloney around the outside, and we'll get the job done and continue to move ourselves forwards in this race. We're up into P15, so the points, I actually said incorrectly before, we were 9 positions away from the points. At that time, we're actually 11 positions away, of course, because only the top 8 score in the F2 sprint race. Although I guess we do have the fastest lap, which you still can get points for with P9 and 10, so I guess it depends how you want to define that. Anyway, we've got Victor Martins up the road now, as we are once again chasing down the Frenchman. And let's look on board rearward from Oliver Behrman, the next car up the road, and we're going to muscle our way around the outside of Victor Martins through turn 4 to the inside of turn 5, and that's going to give us the position. And Ollie Behrman now under pressure, he throws the block, as we're going to take a look to the outside into the chicane. Can we keep the car there? And we can. We'll get all the way around the outside into the chicane on Ollie Behrman, so we really can overtake wherever we want. At this point, inside, outside, high-speed corners, chicanes, it doesn't matter. We are able to get through wherever we place the car. As we continue to press on, we make the move down the inside of Brad Benavides there, who is still caught up behind Roy Nassani, but the PHM's running pretty well in this race, with Roy Nassani rounding off the top 10 at the moment. No points for that position, unfortunately, but despite not having great pace, Roy Nassani has maintained decent track position throughout this one, and yeah, as you can see, still the cork in the bottle, at least with his teammate there. But that puts us up into the top 10, so we will get those bonus points if we maintain this fastest lap, as we make the move on Clement Novalak now. So we've been able to affect that one. We've got Jack Doohan in front of us, so Doohan's recovered a little bit. He dropped away off the initial start, but has since recovered. As in front of us now, we've got Kush Miney going for the move on Isaac Hadjar. So Miney demonstrating some decent pace in this race, and trying to make that move, but unfortunately unsuccessful on Isaac Hadjar. So yeah, Miney's trying, and he does seem to have pace to move forwards, but overtaking in these conditions at this circuit is very tricky as we make the move on Jack Doohan. So what's next? We've got Kush Miney in front of us, our teammate, who's running in the points, which is great to see, but we're going to steal that away in just a moment as we make the move around the outside, and just demos him down the order a little as we set our sights on Isaac Hadjar. And a little bit of an idea at this point: if I overtake Hadjar skillfully, we might be able to get Miney through as well. Miney actually grabs both of us as we were too busy holding Hadjar out high and wide there, costing ourselves maybe a little bit more time than I anticipated, but that's worked mostly to plan, and Miney was able to sneak through. So yeah, that's made that overtake a bit easier for our teammate, and here's the on board with Hadjar, and he won't be too happy about this one. We were robust in that move, but yeah, that allowed Miney to slip through, and that's another couple of points for the team, with Miney ahead of Hadjar. So that's worked well for us. And with Fittipaldi a fair way up the road, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to catch him as Miney locks up. Keep it together, Kush. We've just given you that position. Don't throw it away now. We get through on our teammate, and thankfully he's able to hold on. But yeah, that was not a great time to make that mistake. Luckily we were able to avoid him, because sometimes when the car in front locks up, it can be an invitation for the car behind to make contact, but we were able to get away with it on that occasion. We're up into P6 then with that, and Kush Miney P7. So we're in the points, both of us, and yeah, we're looking pretty good in this race now. I don't know if we'll be able to get any more, but who knows? We might be able to chase down.
P6, you got P6. Fittipaldi just ahead. Come on, go get him. They're on old wets. Okay, that's Kush behind. Less than a second separates you. They're on old wets. our gap to first place, 13.5 seconds. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 2 laps left. Next time by will be your final lap.
So yeah, we are on the penultimate lap of the race, and I was about to say, we have a chance to close down the margin to Enzo Fittipaldi and Roman Stanek. They are very close together just up the road. Stanek under pressure. He's done a great job under pressure for the majority of this race. He hasn't had the overall pace.
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. Final lap. Final lap. Push, push.
But yeah, Stanek's done a great job to hold down at P4. Not the podium he would have wanted coming into this race, but still a decent points haul for the Czech driver, who's struggled for form throughout the majority of this season. But he's still under pressure from Enzo Fittipaldi, but this is allowing me to close in as well, and all of a sudden we've arrived on the back of this train. So yeah, we just need to find the opportunity to get through on Enzo Fittipaldi, and hopefully it comes sooner rather than later, because we do of course want to chase down Stanek as well. So on the final lap of the race now, there's not a lot of time left. We make the move to the outside of Enzo Fittipaldi as we now race towards the chicane. Can we make the move around the outside? No, we can't. And Fittipaldi is going to hold on to the position for now. And yeah, we have to stay behind. We actually lost a lot of time there. So Fittipaldi doing the job to hold on for the time being, as Roman Stanek is still holding down P4. And I think the notion of catching the Trident driver is out the window now, and it's just going to be whether or not we can pass Fittipaldi. We get a good run as we head towards the third to last corner. Fittipaldi blocks, we go to the outside, and Fittipaldi, compromised on that inside line, is not able to fight on. We'll make that move up into the top 5 now, and we've got just a corner and a half to go, and I don't think we have a chance of chasing down Stanek. But out in front, Théo Pourchaire done the job today, and the Frenchman takes victory ahead of Dennis Hauger. Frederick Vesti comes across the line in third position, and round the final corner comes Roman Stanek for fourth. We'll weave our way to P5, in fact completely lose control there as we come across the front of Enzo Fittipaldi, but that's all after the line. Here it is from my onboard. And yeah, big weave, and yeah, we'll flick it around.
The French driver has left them all behind. It's victory for Théo Pourchaire.
Feisty young drivers reverse the grid and send them with no pit stops. There's always going to be a bit of chaos, Jakesy, but they dealt with it really well.
ART, the French team who have been racing since the 90s in various forms of motorsport, are once again back on the winner's podium today after a brilliant display of driving skill.
Well, never looking in doubt for Théo Pourchaire. He's led every single moment of this race from a reverse grid pole. Second place for Dennis Hauger, and Vesti fights his way up to third.
And after all that excitement, I think it's time for a lie down. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
Oh my goodness, that was a lot. We are almost 40 minutes into the video. I don't know if I've ever spent that long on a sprint race before, but I mean, there was a lot to cover in that race, so yeah, it is what it is. But that was awesome fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that race, despite having a few little hiccups here and there, especially on the red flag restarts. Yeah, we managed to, for the most part, avoid trouble. We got very lucky on a couple of occasions, but in the end, we were able to bring home a chunk of points, and yeah, help Kushmini out as well. But yeah, what else is there to say? Hopefully we can continue this form into the sprint, into the feature race rather, which will hopefully be dry. But anyway, let's run through the finishing order of the sprint race. It was, of course, Théo Pourchaire, Dennis Hauger, and Frederick Vesti on the podium. Roman Stanek P4, great result for the Czech driver. P5 for myself, P6 for Enzo Fittipaldi, P7 for our teammate Krishmaini, so more points for him. And running out the top 8 is Isaac Hadjar and Jack Doohan and Clement Novalak. Those are the two who will be starting on the front row in the main event, rounding out the top 10. We got the fastest lap, so the bonus point will go our way. In terms of the Drivers' Championship then, we continue to maintain the lead there. We have a 67-point lead over Frederick Vesti, who will definitely have closed in a little bit through that round. But yeah, we still have a convincing margin there. Unfortunately, Krishmaini is still down in P11 and is currently on 49 points, just 1 point behind Brad Benavides. So hopefully he can improve very soon. But also concerningly, Clement Novalak, who will be starting on the second row, isn't too far behind. He's only 8 points behind our teammate. So that could very easily change as well if Clement Novalak manages to stay in the top few spots. But anyway, in the team's championship, we are now second to MP Motorsports, but just 7 points behind, and then only a further 5 points back to Prema. So ourselves, MP and Prema, tight together as always. ART 56 points adrift, so they're still not quite in the fight, but still, you know, not a margin they can't close over the course of the rest of the season, with 4.5 rounds to go. Of course, the feature race still to come here, but they won't have any cars towards the front of the field, with Teo Porcher leading the way for them down in P10 on the grid. But anyway, that's enough rambling about this one. Let's move on to the feature race, the main event of the weekend. It's going to be dry. Hopefully we can have another good race in the feature race.
It's time for this weekend's Formula 2 race here at the Hungary. A popular track with a lot of history. I'm sure we're in for an absolute thrill ride of a race today. The Hungary is located 12 miles northeast of the capital, Budapest. It's 2.7 miles long, featuring 14 corners, and it's got a reputation for making overtaking difficult. Nevertheless, there's a history of some truly exceptional races here. Let's hope our Formula 2 drivers can serve up some more of that today. We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Jack Doohan lines up on pole position, and it's Clement Novalak in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Fittipaldi, Hadjar, Frederick Vesti, Awasa, Maini, Hauger, Stanek, Teo Porcher, Leclerc, Nissani, Amory Cordial, Ollie Behrman, Benavides, Martins, Maloney, and Richard Verschoor. Boschon, Correa, Crawford, and Jan Deruvela completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Back of the grid's not what we're aiming for. See if you can make up a few places at the start.
Alrighty, thank you, Mark. So, soft size to the mediums will be the strategy. Bright and sunny conditions all the way through this race. Not a cloud in the sky, or at least according to the weather forecast. So, yeah, we should be in for a good one. No chance of rain in this race. So, yeah, a very different dynamic to the previous one. We can go aggressive and hopefully gain some places off the start. Here we go then to the 5 red lights. And we're underway for the feature race in Hungary. And it's a great launch off the line for us. And we're immediately going to grab a position towards turn 1. And we've got a football field in front of us as everyone moves to the inside. We've got a pile of space to go late on the brakes down the outside. And we'll gain a whole bunch of places there as we move ourselves all the way up into P15. So we're up 4 just through turn 1. We've got Oliver Behrman in front of us now. We're going to make the move to the inside into turn 2. That was a bit of a reactive move there, as we were a little bit too late on the brakes, but we're able to get it done. And as they run side by side in front, we'll switch to the inside of Arthur Leclerc there. And that might be another position for us as we race up the hill, squeezed onto the grass a bit though. We're off at turn 4 into the runoff area, and that tumbles us down the order. And we drop all the way back into P17, but we're still above our grid position as we've now got Victor Martins in front of us, and we're going to be close enough to make the move into the chicane. Nothing we can do there, a little bit too far back, but yeah, we've still made an okay start to this race. Not quite as good as it could have been. We could have been up as many as 7 positions in half a lap if we managed to make that stick, but it wasn't to be. And yeah, we've tumbled ourselves back down. Still up 2 though from where we started as we make the move down the inside of Victor Martins. Move ourselves up into 16th position. Next up, Brad Benavides, who was in amongst it in the previous race. Didn't quite manage to get into the points in the end, but he and Roy Nassani have some decent track positions, so it's not out of the realms of possibility for PHM to grab some points today. Here's a replay of the start though, as we've concluded the first lap, and it was Jack Doohan and Clement Novalak on the front row, and they're going to go side by side down towards turn 1. The battle from Silverstone resuming straight away here, with Clement Novalak trying to fight through on the inside line, but Jack Doohan with the better line, the better traction on the outside, and the Aussie holds on to the position for now. Novalak not giving up though around the outside of turn 2, and we've made this one work in the wet conditions, but not going to work for Clement Novalak in the dry. Jack Doohan holds on to the race lead. Back on board with myself then, as we start to contemplate.
You might experience some understeer now that you're in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible.
The next move, down the inside of Brad Benavides, and we make that one stick and move ourselves ahead of the PHM driver. He actually got a really nice switch back there. It was quite an awkward move to make in that zone of the circuit, but we got away with it as Roman Stanek locks it up one side then the other into the chicane. The Czech driver under pressure from, I think it might be Amari Cordial behind, but Roman Stanek maintaining position for now. But back on board with myself, we've got Ollie Behrman in front of us now, and yeah, we're kind of struggling to make too much progress. We can make overtakes, but as we have a bit of a moment there running wide, but when everyone's in the, whoa, big slide there. When everyone's in the DRS train, it makes things difficult. But wow, that was a lucky escape there. Goodness me, that is about as sideways as it gets. If you want to continue racing, you don't want to go much further than that. I don't think you'd be able to get away with that one in a Formula 1 car. F2 cars are a touch more forgiving in those sorts of situations. Big lockup from Amari Cordial there. But C'est la vie, says the Belgian driver. He carries on and pulls away. So yeah, lockups are plenty as the pressure continues to build behind Roman Stanek, who's still the cork in the bottle, unfortunately, in this race. But as we continue on, we're closing in on Oliver Behrman, and we're going to go for the big lunge down the inside into turn 1. And we'll make it stick on Oliver Behrman, or at least we'll get side by side. Behrman not giving this one up just yet as we continue to go wheel to wheel towards turn 2. Behrman on the inside, but he can't keep the mid-corner speed up. We'll get the move done on Oliver Behrman, and yeah, we can, a bit of a wide moment there, we can now set our sights back on Arthur Leclerc and back to almost where we were before we had our off. So yeah, here we go then. A nice run on Arthur Leclerc towards the chicane. Down the inside we go, and yeah, we'll get the move done. We have to find some unconventional ways of making overtakes, because on this main straight it is very difficult. But without DRS now, we've got Arthur Leclerc all over us. We have to throw the block towards turn 1, and this is the last thing we need. I need to push pretty hard just to keep up with this train. There might be a queue forming, but it's a pretty quick one. So yeah, as we carry on, we actually go all the way on to the pit stop window, and a decent chunk into this race. So yeah, as we come into the pits, we have ticked off a lot of laps, and we've been struggling for progress pretty much since. So we'll see what we can do in the next part of the race. Maybe these tyres were just not, you know, not working for us. But we weren't really making the progress I was hoping we would in the early stages. But anyway, decent stop by the lads, and we will continue to push on in this race as we've got
Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
Benavides right behind us, Portier in front. So I think I don't think we lost anything in that pit stop cycle, but I feel like it was a little slow. But anyway, Jack Doohan into the pits on the following lap. So we'll see. He's had to hold in pit lane for a queue of cars going past. Is that going to be the difference? Where is Clement Novalak versus... There he is! Clement Novalak takes the race lead, and Jack Doohan loses all the hard work he did in the opening stages in the pit stop cycle, and there's nothing he could have done about that. Just bad placement of the pit crew at the start of pit lane versus Trident at the end. And yeah, actually that's really strange now that I think about it. Why does the team lower down in the standings have the better pit priority? That's really strange. Anyway, it works for Clement Novalak, and yeah, he has jumped up into the race lead. So Doohan now has the work to do if he wants to catch up.
No issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
Anyway, focusing back on our race, we've just had a little side-by-side battle in front of us with Cordial and Nassani. Cordial moving up into the top 10 with that as we make the move around the outside of Teo Porcher, moving ourselves up into P12. But Cordial and Nassani, two drivers who haven't scored a lot of points this season, really possibly none. I haven't actually checked that low in the standings for a while, but we muscle our way past Roy Nassani and
okay, good work, great pass.
get past the Israeli driver as he's still on cold tyres. But yeah, as we continue to push our way forwards through this race, we are climbing up the order, and unfortunately for Cordial, we might be stealing away that points finish that the Belgian driver has worked pretty hard for. He's had decent pace throughout this weekend, qualified well, and has put himself in amongst the action. But as we go wide, Cordial briefly gets the position back as we now race towards the chicane. We'll maintain that position ahead of Amari Cordial and get P10 on track. So we've done half the job. We've got ourselves back up into the points. Now it's just a matter of seeing how high we can climb and how much of the damage we can limit from the poor qualifying. So we've got good pace though in this half of the race. Through the first half, I felt pretty matched with everyone. I had to push very hard to run the same lap times, and I felt like I couldn't really do it consistently. But now on these medium compound tyres, I'm feeling much better. And as we close into Roman Stanek, we get some nice traction out of the final corner. It's very difficult to put the power down there.
Top 10 now, keep it up.
When you're in the dirty air of the next car, and very difficult to get a run. But we're going to make the move down the inside into turn 1, and we'll fight our way through. Move ahead of Roman Stanek, who drops into P10, but still holding on to a points finish for the time being, as we now set our sights forward once more to Dennis Hauger, the podium sitter from the previous race. Take or share out of the points in this one, so ART not looking so good after this race. But a moment there as we get caught up on the entry curb into turn 4. We get away with it without losing any positions this time. But yeah, that was reminiscent of lap 1 of the race for us there. But we get away with it, and yeah, we continue to close in once more to Dennis Hauger, who is reasonably quick, but not able to make any inroads on the next car. Caution's out in front, and oh! Engine failure right in front of us there, and that is more misfortunes for Ayumu Iwasa. Oh my goodness, he cannot catch a break. Ayumu Iwasa, the unluckiest driver of the season. Another mechanical failure for Ayumu Iwasa. What rotten luck for the Japanese driver. He was in the points as well this time as we set up a nice run up the hill versus Dennis Hauger there, and we'll make the move around the outside through turn 4 and move ourselves ahead
Good
of
job, nice overtake.
the Norwegian driver, and we're up into 7th position now. Isaac Hadjar is up next, the
Starting
Frenchman.
to catch the car in front, but we need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
And we'll make the move on Isaac Hadjar and move ourselves up one more position into P6. Kushmaini has had a very decent race so far. He started in 7th position, so he's gained 2 places from the start. So well done, Kushmaini. He's putting in a very solid drive today, as we now will shift our attention to our teammate. And yeah, we'll see if we can close in. And as we move on, we do close in. In fact, we'll make the move around the outside into turn 2. And Kushmaini gives us a space, and we'll muscle our way through turn 3. We cost him a bit of time there, but now I wonder if we can maybe do something a little similar to the previous race and help out our teammate a bit. He seemed to have the pace over Frederick Vesti anyway, but we'll see if we can just annoy Vesti enough as we send it up the inside and completely miss the chicane there. Not able to get the move done in that part of the circuit. We let Frederick Vesti back through after we took the shortcut there. But yeah, I'm wondering if we can pull off a similar move to what we did with Isaac Hadjar in the previous race. So we're just sticking the nose in on Frederick Vesti, helping Kushmaini close that margin back up. And now we'll escort the Dane a little wide there, and Kushmaini will get through. And once again, we cost ourselves the position in doing so, but it's given our teammate the position. And yeah, we're being a good teammate today and trying to get the most out of Kushmaini's results as well. But yeah, we'll see how the rest of the race plays out, if we can close in to Fittipaldi. But Kushmaini's pace has actually been pretty good, but eventually we will go for the move as we head up towards turn 4 around the outside, and we're off into the runoff area there. That was never quite going to work with that approach, but we're reasonably quick over our teammates, so we should be able to close in the margin once more. And as we continue on towards the end of the race, another big slide there. So yeah, we're pushing the limits in this one, and finding them on a few occasions. But as we continue to carry on,
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done.
for quite a while I was pretty happy just settled behind Kushmaini, but eventually with that fastest lap I was all of a sudden incentivized to go for the move, and we almost get it done. Kushmaini with a decent switchback, but we'll be able to hold on with the inside line into turn 2. But yeah, I thought Kushmaini would be fast enough to, for us to both catch up to Fittipaldi, but it wasn't really the case. They were pretty even on pace.
Okay, mate, final lap. Keep your concentration and let's bring it home.
And with another fastest lap, we set our sights on the Brazilian in front. And we'll see if we can close that margin enough to go for the move. We passed him on the final lap in the first race. Can we do the same in this one to take home another, or for this one, is actually for a podium finish potentially, if we can actually make that move. But that's a big if. We're close through the chicane, but just not close enough. So it's going to have to be through the final sector, probably that right-hander, before the final 2 sweepers. We'll see if we can get close enough, but we're a fair way back at the moment, and as we send it in, we're not close enough. And I think Enzo Fittipaldi might have done enough. But out in front, Clement Novalak has done enough today, and the Frenchman wins in Budapest. Awesome drive from Clement Novalak, taking advantage of getting caught up in the pit lane. And the Aussie man didn't really have any choice in the matter. It was second place today. We'll cross the line behind Enzo Fittipaldi to take a P4.
Right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
It's a 4-5 finish for the team, and a decent points haul over our main rivals. In fact, none of our rival teams were ahead of us today.
Clement Novalak has won it! He's won the race!
Alex, it's so hard when you've had a mental knock to recover and take victory like that, especially at this level. Brilliant stuff.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be Trident picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for coming out on top in that amazing race.
Well, celebrations for the Trident team as Clement Novalak takes a feature race victory. There wasn't much Jack Doohan could have done differently in that race. Just bad timing in the pit lane cost him the race win today. P3 for Enzo Fittipaldi.
It was great having you with us for this weekend. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you when Formula 2 returns.
Well, what to say about all that? That was a surprisingly good race, team-wise. Of course, we did help out our teammates a couple of times throughout this weekend. It's sort of the nature of the circuit here with there's three individual very long sort of U-turn type corners where it's quite easy to hold a car out high and wide, which you don't really get at most circuits. So that is something almost unique to Hungary, where we were able to help out our teammate in that way, and we're able to make it work. So that's an extra 3 or 4 points, I believe it would equate to over the course of the weekend for our teammate with that. So it's the little things that might just make the difference towards the end of the season in what is a very tight teams championship fight. And over Prema, in the case of Vesti, that is a net gain, because it of course cost Vesti some points as well. But anyway, let's look at the finishing order. Of course, it was Novalak ahead of Doohan and Fittipaldi, myself ahead of Kushmaini, rounding out the top 5. Frederick Vesti P6 at Ateo Portier, who did eventually move up into P7. P8 went the way of Isaac Hadjar. P9 for Dennis Hauger, and Amari Cordial doing a good job to take P10 in this one, and a point for his efforts there. We did take the fastest lap of the race in the end as well. We turn our attention now to the Drivers' Championship. We lead the way there as well, of course, as we've done so for quite a while now. 72 points ahead of the second place driver, Dennis Hauger. Jane Deruvala, after having a good run of form for a bit, drops into P4 after a lackluster weekend. Kushmaini should have moved up into the top 10 if not for Clement Novalak winning the race today, and Novalak up to 66 points. 59 points now for our teammates, so a decent point haul across the course of the weekend for Kushmaini, improving by 10 points in just the feature race alone there. So great effort from our teammate throughout this weekend. In terms of the Teams Championship, we lead the way ahead of MP Motorsport, now 14 points between us, so still very tight, and only 20 points back to Prema. So the top 3 teams only separated by 20 points, and ART still 66 points adrift, still within the realms of possibility for them to catch up, but they're going to need both of their drivers in the points if they want that to happen. But anyway, that is going to do it for this one, so I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. But other than that, I will see you in the next one, and goodbye.